ask you questions. I mean, this is actually a question I was asked by someone I coach, and she's a grandma, and she says, well, how awful is it if I give my grandchild, my 2-year-old toddler grandchild, a treat every now and again? It's not a daily thing, but it's once a month he visits me. And is it bad, or how bad is it?
Okay.
How would you answer that question?
So can I say something before I answer your question? You just reminded me, you're a coach. We want to work with coaches so that you do your thing. We cannot provide that kind of in-depth individual level of attention in our community. But when you're done providing that in-depth individual level of coaching, you have the security of knowing. And so if you're doing the coaching and your member is in our community, then you know that if they wake up during the night, there will be somebody there to take care of them. Okay. So it's not either coaching, doctor, therapist, no, or the community. You've got to combine them. We need these individual professionals like you. Okay. So how often?
How bad is it? I mean, how can you, because I think,
I know.
not everyone who's ever had a drink in their life is addicted to alcohol.
But because this is everywhere and it erodes impulse control. This is why it's everywhere, and people have no impulse control because the substances have impaired impulse control. You don't have it. So that means that all the time when you're around these substances, you're putting them in your mouth, even if you desperately do not want to be. Okay, so sugar is more destructive than cocaine. We've got, if you have another minute, I'll share a screen. So I would invite all of your members to join the Facebook group Food Addiction Education. But this, I came over here for the brain scans. These are brain scans of dopamine receptor fields. So in order for you to feel good, one cell releases the dopamine, and then it goes to the next brain cell and hits a receptor. The dopamine comes out of the dopamine cell, goes to the next cell, and it hits that receptor. And when you're eating processed foods, that happens way, 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 way too often. When you're using any recreational drug, this is how we know these are drugs. That receptor collapses. It wears out. Now it'll come back, but under addiction, it collapses. And this is why people need to use more and more and more, because there are fewer receptors and they're just not getting that big old high. So in this first scan, this normal scan, this is the red part. These are dopamine receptors. They're receiving messages. You feel good. This is how we experience emotions. Receptors on our nervous system and in our brain receive these neurotransmitters. Well, you see, and this is a composite. This is like 8 or 9 cocaine abusers, and their dopamine receptor fields are worn out. They're shut down. You can't see them. There's no red here. Now, this is mislabeled. I know it's labeled obese people, and maybe they are, but what this is really representing is processed food addicted people. And you can see that their fields are even more gone. They're even smaller, they're paler. So this is part of the big evidence that we use to show that sugar is more destructive than cocaine. Now we have another researcher, Serge Ahmed, he's at the University of Bordeaux, who showed that rats, if you addict them to heroin and cocaine and sugar and saccharin, and one by one, and then you put them in a cage where they have a choice between those 4 levers, they'll choose the sugar. And if you take away the sugar, their next choice is the saccharin. So what I would say to that grandma, and I'm guilty of this too, I'm not going to hold myself to some incredible standard, but I will tell you, I was not out on the street last night for Halloween. I cannot bear it. I cannot bear seeing children's brains altered in such a way that makes them depressed. So I have my limits, but I would say to that grandma, just give them the sugar as often as you would give them the cocaine. Maybe a little bit less often because it's more destructive.
What a wonderful answer. Now, Dr. Ifland, our channel is called Low Carb Fasting. Now, fasting is very interesting with respect to food addicts. We're going to tackle that in a minute. But first, when people eliminate the processed carbs, junk foods, and focus on, well, eat less fats or healthy fats or fats that naturally come with the proteins, do you find that they are actually eating a lower carbohydrate diet?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Americans eat over a pound per person per day of sugars, flours, and high-fat dairy. So say 3/4 of a pound. It's a lot. They eat a lot of. So no matter what food plan you're going to, you take out that amount of sugar and flour, you're going to be ahead. But the thing that I ask the keto people all the time, and they cannot answer it, is you put somebody on keto and they get all these benefits, but you've done two things. One, you've taken out a lot of highly toxic substances from their food. And two, you've put them into ketosis. How can you disentangle those two things? They cannot answer that. I can answer that. Because I don't put people on a keto plan. I take them off the sugars and flours as they're able. You know, sometimes they might have to sit in that social circle for weeks or months before their mirror neurons swing over, and they're able to get off the processed foods. This is a crucial part of recovery. You might not be able to tackle the food first. Mm-hmm. You might have to tackle a relationship. You might have to tackle some trauma. You might have to tackle some self-esteem, some negative messaging. You might have to tackle cueing. You might have to get the processed foods in the house into a locked box. You might have to do other things before that person is ready. But we have a very respectful process in which we listen and we listen. And what are you ready to do? Oh, that's so cool. Yes. Do you need any ideas how to do that? No, you've done it before. Great. They just need somebody to walk with them while they do something that they already know how to do. Mirror neuron engagement. So I know, because I don't recommend any food plan. I recommend a process. We give people 4 videos, one for proteins, one for fruit, vegetables, and starches if they eat starches. And then fats, which I don't think I made that video yet, but we say, eat this protein on every Monday, eat a different protein every Tuesday, eat a different protein every Wednesday, every Thursday. If you don't have 7 proteins for each day of the week, eat that same protein 2 days in a row. You figure out, and then we teach them, a skin eruption, that's an allergic reaction, fatigue, depression, irritability, anxiety, those are all allergic reactions. And you figure out which protein works for you. And then when they're done with their proteins, they do a vegetable rotation. Do any vegetables work for you? Oh, okay, all the vegetables. And then they can do a fruit rotation. Oh, I cannot eat the bananas for sure. I cannot eat the mangoes or the cherries or the grapes. But I seem to do fine with blueberries and apples. Okay, eat blueberries and apples. Nobody can tell me what I can eat. I can't tell anybody else what they can eat, but I can give them a method. I can train them in how to customize their food plan. So we see all the things go away. We see all the diseases go away. This is why we're starting this radical remission program. It will be, it will contain the ARC, but it will have very, very specific things that have been shown to put advanced diseases into remission. It's a program. We're not obviously not guaranteeing anything, but there are lists of things that people in advanced stages of diseases benefit from. It's very hard to put them together yourself, but it's what we're doing is we're making it easy for you to do it. And we see all those things go away without putting people into ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
Ketones are good for a cell where the mitochondria is not working. Mitochondria can't use glucose anymore, right? Okay, granted. I used a extreme keto food plan during my doctoral program because I developed epilepsy. And within, oh gosh, a couple of years, 22 months to be exact, I put that seizure disorder into full remission using an epilepsy keto food plan. I am here walking, talking, not in a mental institution because of keto. Keto, yay. Keto, absolutely. I had the skills to do it because I had already been on a clean food plan, and I knew how to weigh and measure. It takes a tremendous amount of skill to keep you in that keto range. But I see all the results in our community just from getting the sugar, flour, gluten, excessive salt, dairy, excessive fat, caffeine, food additives, and then addressing, training people in how to avoid being stressed, all those life skills. Yeah.
So
I know that's not the answer you were hoping for.
no, it's a good answer. And as a keto coach, I do exactly the same.
Okay,
people find what works for them themselves with my guidance.
okay. Yes.
I don't like being prescriptive because more often than not, it just wouldn't work. There just isn't one diet that works for everyone.
Okay.
So that was actually the answer I was hoping you would give to validate me. So last one is fasting, because we are called low carbon fasting. Now, fasting has tremendous health benefits. I do intermittent fasting myself. I have no addictive issues or food addictive issues that I know of. I also do extended fasting, and I know a lot of type 1 diabetics that I work with also do extended fast, but fasting is not for people who have food addictions.
Correct.
Why does it hijack your progress when?
Okay, so the research that I depend on shows that after a 24-hour fast, two things. After a 24-hour fast, you have that dopamine hit. Well, that's the exact opposite of what you're trying to do in addiction recovery. You're trying to stabilize dopamine. And then the other research that I really depend on, Eric Stice, who's now at Stanford, did a study where he collected information on who was fasting. And he put the data away and waited 5 years. And then he visited those people again, and the people who had been doing fasting had eating disorders. I'm so sorry. It's very seductive. Fasting, oh my gosh, great, I won't have to cook. But I rely on the research. 5 years. 5 years. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. People, I think, dependent on insulin, someone like me, my insulin needs reduced by 20-30% after 24 hours. In fact, after a 23-hour fast, which basically means 1 meal a day. So if I do that once a month, as opposed to my usual 2 meals, perfect. I maintain insulin sensitivity. So it works for me. But then again, I'm relatively healthy and I don't suffer any food addiction. So I don't recommend it to any of the people that I coach.
Yes, if you screen for food addiction and you get So 2 out of those 11 criteria is a mild addiction, 4 is a moderate, and then 6 is severe. So if you get a positive reading from your screen, you're not going to prescribe fasting. Yeah.
We're going to finish with that message on fasting and why it doesn't work for everyone. Dr. Ifland, I can't thank you enough for your time today.
Thanks for having me. This was great. I appreciate you. I appreciate your profession. I appreciate coaches. We want to work with coaches. We want your clients to be safe 24 hours a day, and for you to get tremendous satisfaction out of what you do.
Thank you very much. And hopefully we can chat again
Anytime.
Another time. Thank you once again, and bye for now.